Hello, everybody. You have just been welcomed by, what's your dog's name, Nicole?
Crystal.
Crystal just said hello in doggy language. So welcome to the Wisdom of Essential Oils. I'm Leonie Featherstone, and my partner in crime is Nicole Farrington.
Dog's going off.
Like to say hello and explain what Crystal does when you're working in your studio with your clients, Nicole.
Crystal comes in and she lies under the bed. She generally greets people and she sometimes stays with them, like on the ground. Sometimes she's she jumps up on people's laps because she's only little, and they pat her as they tell me what's going on and everything. And then she has a little sleep under the bed, and then when they come out, if they're upset or whatever, she's there for them to pat. And she's my little healing puppy. So she's got her little bed out at the moment, and there's dogs going off in the back alley, and she's thought, I'm going to join them too.
There you go. And it's so funny that, we were talking before. Our topic today, guys, is sense of change and how we have to adapt to change. And we weren't actually planning to have a dog chorus welcoming you today, but hey, it happened. And we're grateful that Crystal's with us today because she's a very intuitive little puppy. But guys, welcome. Drop us a note. Let us know where you're from. What Nicole and I are doing today, we share the wisdom of essential oils. Me from the knowledge of utilising these beautiful doTERRA essential oils for almost 10 years. And Nicole is a medium healer. So what we invite you to do is have a chat with us. If you have questions to ask, please make them about some healing issue. I love to draw the essential oil cards and share with you how these oils can impact you and the wisdom, the emotional wisdom that they are offering. And I often add a little bit extra into that. And then Nicole can add her insights as well. Good morning, Melissa. You're from Yamundi. Used to love, years and years ago, went to the Yamundi markets. And Kylie from Brisbane, welcome. So what we might do, say hi, Nicole, and then I might draw a card for the collective. Any opening advice from you on change?
You've just got to accept it and go with it. You don't have to always like it, but know that it's in your best interest to allow the change to happen.
Yeah. True. We'll discuss that more. But guys, those of you who are new to the show, I always like to draw a card for the collective and just sort of see what comes up. And the oil I drew today, I'm often asked what is my favourite oil, and I say it's like trying to pick who your favourite child is with our beautiful essential oils. But this is one of my top favourites, and it's our protective blend called On Guard. And it's this beautiful blend of wild orange, eucalyptus, rosemary, cinnamon and clove, all powerful in their own right. But when you have that synergy working together, it's a protective blend on a physical level. It's something I have daily. It's something I diffuse 90% of the time, and particularly in times when we could be seasonally compromised. And so on a physical level, it is like, your coat of armor. But with regard to emotions, this is very much about us setting boundaries. And I was thinking about this in relation to change, that sometimes when we recognize that we need to change, there could be other people trying to stop us, other people giving us their viewpoints and opinions. And it's very much about On Guard's message to us is to stand firm with your boundaries and honour your own voice and know that counts. And so, we're kind of probably, it also wants us to feel protected, to feel safe to do so. And with these cards, there's always a centering thought for us. So the centering thought that I'd invite all of us to take on today is, I am safe and protected. I honour healthy boundaries in myself and others. And a question for us to ask ourselves is, why is it so easy for me to create healthy boundaries? So On Guard. I use doTERRA essential oils, as does Nicole. I'm all respect to whatever you use. However, I would encourage you, if you want to get the full power of these beautiful gifts of the earth, ensure that whatever you are using comes with integrity, comes with purity, and comes with potency. And if you'd like to know more about that, just drop a comment in the chat, and I can connect with you privately. But Nicole, how do you cope with change? What are your feelings on change?
Change isn't always a welcome thing, which is a surprise because it's it always comes about when we need it the most. And it can be a stabilizing effect by allowing change. It can be us viewing patterns in our life that haven't served us, so we have to allow change to rectify that, so it's for our betterment and our ability to enjoy life. There's also lots of aspects of change. It's, changing your hair. It's, changing your diet is a big thing. It's when you're looking in your physical self so that you can look at your health, and then, is like a flow-on effect with all the other changes. Once you start to feel better in your physical self, you're able to do more, you're more active, you've got that movement flowing, you're sort of like welcoming change then, and you're more open. When you're otherwise you're kind of sitting there a little bit stagnant, and that's not a good place to be in, because you don't allow anything else to come into life. You're just sitting around and happy with this day-to-day routine. But we do need to put some little changes in every day.
Yeah. That's lovely. Ladies, just a side note here. Hello, Kerry. Hi, Teresa. Who we got? Fiona. Hello, Fiona. And Kylie loves On Guard. Fantastic. Just to let you know, we do pull the cards throughout the conversation, but it's very much about sharing the wisdom as well, so that we're here to empower you. So hopefully some of the thoughts that we share will empower you to feel more comfortable with our topic today, which is change. And I don't know if many of you follow Louise Hay, but I'm a great fan. I think she has so much wisdom. And I was reading some of her works last night. And, sometimes with change, it's like, it almost stops people in their track, just the thought. And sometimes, as she suggests, a softer question would be just to ask, am I willing to change? And just see where that sits, and have it, just feel where there's any resistance, because sometimes we get a little bit self-righteous about how other people need to change, not us. And sometimes if we can kind of hover out and just be aware of these thoughts and sensations and feelings, we can start to explore those without that need to feel like we have to be right. And what we also like to do, guys, is give you some practical tips that you can integrate into your life. And I think that one of the things that I like to do is, when I see other people's behaviors or ways of speaking or whatever, that I feel, oh, that's a bit abrasive, I would like to see them change, or that behavior is not appropriate, I'd like to see them change, I then turn the camera back onto me and think, where does that show up in me, or does it show up in me? Like, do I always think before I speak? Am I a little bit aggressive instead of being assertive? So sometimes I think that's a really good way to look at where change needs to happen, because it's also easy to look outwards, but I believe it also needs to start from within.
It does, definitely.
Yeah. So why don't we kick things off? And Melissa was first off the ranks today. Love some health advice. You have the lovely menopause. Do you know, I have to tell you, I'm trying to think here we go. I wrote it down. Louise Hay says, thoughts and words create our experiences. And I am not suggesting that anyone who has menopause could have stopped menopause, but I told myself years ago, because I was like, all my friends were talking about all these horror experiences, and I was like, no, I'm not having it. I just said to the universe, I am not having any of that. And touch wood, I'm doing okay so far, and I've got a very significant birthday next year, so I'm hoping that I might have got through it. But all love and healing to you, Melissa, and my other sisters who are going through that. So let's, would you like me to go first, Nicole, or are you happy to go first?
No, I'm happy to go first today. So with Melissa, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of her holding back various aspects of herself that are trying to come through. So I wanted to be a little bit more open to where she's going in life, and understanding that the change and I don't think it's just menopause, is it's good for her. She needs to be a little bit more welcoming to the change, and just trusting that flow. There's some things going on within her hips, and it's just that flexibility of movement, and and moving forward as well. So if she can just kind of relax a little bit, let go of that anxiety and just have a lot more trust, those changes will be allowed and she will find things a little bit smoother for her.
Lovely, lovely. Well, Melissa, the card corresponding to the oil that I have drawn for you is Douglas fir. I love our fir oils. They're just very, very special to me. So what this card is suggesting, Melissa, that maybe you're feeling a bit burdened. I know we're talking about menopause, but, you know, I'm talking on an emotional level now, you know, burdened by something. With Douglas fir, it's also an oil that helps us to change any generational patterning that we've taken on from our ancestors. And so this is something to perhaps explore. And maybe you could use this oil and create some affirmations about letting go. There's no need for you to carry that conditioning through into your current life. Your centering thought is, I have courage to be a change maker and chain breaker. I create change within my family. And your affirmation is, why is it so easy for my family to heal? I always find it interesting when we pick a topic and, like, now the first card off the rank is talking about change. Guys, I want to suggest to you too that a lot of these type of issues can be quite personal, and we don't like to go too deep because it is personal. And so if you'd like to do that deep dive with either Nicole or I, you're more than welcome to connect with us. We love creating relationships and being of service to you, and we can do that far better one-on-one than we can in a group situation. So our details are in the chat, but if you're interested, I always go back through the chat to say hello and see who's who and whatnot. So if you're interested, just put a little comment down and Nicole and I can be in touch with you privately. I was thinking too, Kerry's suggesting people are a mirror for our own behaviour. And Melissa's saying, oh my God, perfect, fantastic. Fiona, I worry when I change at the finish, but I get over it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. So one of the things with change, it's quite interesting because I've always loved change. I've just seen the excitement of it and thought, wow, where is this leading to? Because I'm a bit strange, I suppose, but I've loved that concept of change. And so many people don't. So I started thinking about change. You know, if we look around us, everything changes. I mean, think about the trees right at the moment, because those of you who know that I'm a nature lover know I'm a tree addict. The trees around me are all shedding their bark. And it's so critical that we see this as a natural process, that we need to shed what no longer serves us. You know, take your cues from nature, friends. It's so powerful. What about, you know, a baby has to change in order to, you know, we were both babies once, Nicole. Gorgeous babies, weren't we?
Absolutely.
So we had to change. Another area that I've had to change is my perception of snakes. I grew up in the outback, and, you know, snakes could mean death, and you had no doctors. You know, the flying doctor would still take a couple of hours to get to you. So I've had a very anti perception of snakes, and yet so many of my friends have been trying to teach me about snakes are powerful messengers. And if you think about a snake, they have to change. They shed their skin, and in order for them to shed their skin, they actually have to rub up against a rock to actually create that first split, and then they can get out of it. And so I think this ties in with what you said before. Change can be uncomfortable, and sometimes it's not so pleasant, but then when you get to the end, it's like, now I really see why.
Yeah, now I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to trust the process. Some processes are a little bit more difficult or uncomfortable than others, but you still have to go with it.
Yeah. Teresa's saying I'm not strange. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, getting rid of the dead wood. She's my friend. Okay, so now we're going to do a cut. Now, Kerry is needing some emotional stability in her life, Nicole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's very overwhelmed at the moment, and she's finding it quite hard to breathe. So it's just about her concentrating on holding herself, putting her shoulders back, and concentrating on those deep breaths that are coming from her gut and bringing them up. And even if she can do that a couple of times a day, just stop and focus on taking 1 or 2, maybe 3 breaths, so she can get into that habit of breathing and opening up her chest, and that will help a little bit with that overwhelmingness that she's feeling. But there's a lot going on within her head, and I'd say she's actually leaning to more trying to control the situations where I'd prefer her to trust her intuition and her own wisdom. And if she can bring that in, that would balance things up a little bit, and it would clear her head space, because at the moment it's foggy.
Yeah, thank you. And Kerry, just drop a line. Let us know how these are landing for you. But the oil that has come up for you, Kerry, is Roman chamomile. You often see Roman chamomile being in like the mother's toolkit because it's a very mild, soothing oil. It's very calming. Sometimes people will use it for baby's toothache or help them get to sleep, etc. But it's actually a really powerful oil in that I'm not a gardener, but they tell me that the Roman chamomile plant, left to its own devices, can just spread. It makes a really good ground cover, and you can actually walk on a little bit, but it'll bounce back. So it's quite resilient. So I guess what this message for you, Kerry, is that, you do have that inner strength. You have that resilience to bounce back from this. But it's also about, I'm just wondering, Kerry, whether you really know what you feel what your purpose in life is, because that's what Roman chamomile is also calling to say, to get clear on your purpose in life. So your centering thought is, I know my purpose, I am fulfilled, I have focus and vision of what I am here to do. And your question is, why is my life so fulfilling? So hopefully that lands well for you. I like to write down the oils we pick for you in case you ask me later, just in case, because as we get going, sometimes we can lose track of it. The other analogy I was thinking about change is, who likes cleaning? Does anyone here like house cleaning? Certainly not me.
It depends.
But, when I think about change, in a house, we clean each room, and then sometimes we get all excited and we'll spring clean. And I think that for us to grow and be the best we can be, we need to be constantly tidying up our inner rooms. So our mental room, our spiritual room, our emotional room. And sometimes if we can just see it as that, because I work with a lot of people that almost when they find things that they need to change, they think there's something wrong with them. Whereas no, it's just a process of life. What do you think about that, Nicole?
I think that's good advice, because everybody needs to change constantly. I mean, we can't stay the same. We're constantly learning. We're learning new things. We're meeting different people that affect change within us, and our views and our opinions. With the learning, with our own knowledge, it's a constant stream. It's just that people don't realise, I think, how much change they are affecting, so that they think it has to be big change constantly, and that's not necessarily the case.
No, that's right. So what I'd love you to pop in the chat is any feelings you have about change, or any comments, because we want this to be interactive. We want to, touch your hearts, get you thinking, empower you. Hey, Carol, how are you? Lovely. There's another one of my dear friends on. Lovely to see you. But let's pull a card for Fiona. Fiona is one of our wonderful friends who's on nearly every week. So Fiona, for you, okay, so here's an interesting one. Yours is in tune. It's the focus blend. So Fiona, perhaps you're feeling a bit distracted. Maybe you're finding it hard to sort of complete a task, starting, stopping. Maybe you're a bit confused. So what the in tune will do is just help you to calm, but also help you to focus. So you can think of that on an emotional level as well. Maybe there's some feelings of disconnection. Maybe you're feeling a bit disconnected between mind, body, spirit, because we do operate holistically. So in tune is going to help you to feel more present, so that you can actually focus and be in the moment and enjoy the moment. So your centering thought is, I create a life of focus and direction. I live in the present moment. And your question is, why is it so easy for me to stay focused and connected?
There's a heaviness with Fiona around her heart and her chest, and it's just sitting there very it's very hard for her to breathe. If she can just work on things in baby steps, so to speak, more in a one step at a time. Don't look at the bigger picture and what she's trying to achieve so she's not overwhelmed, but look at it in very small steps. And whether that's a daily thing, today I'd like to do this, or today I would like to achieve this, or weekly. But that might ease that heaviness and that it's a hurt. And I'd like her just to kind of release that hurt, but learn from how she got it so that she knows now how not to, for that to happen again to her. And that will ease up a little bit for her.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking too, we're talking about different types of change, and, you know, sometimes we have a change of heart, and just something when you said there about Fiona with the heavy-heartedness, you know, when I think of heart oils, you know, you cannot go past rose, the oil of unconditional divine love. So, you know, I think that we have these tools on hand, and it's so wonderful. The more we can learn about the physical aspects of the oils and then how they can support us emotionally, we can become more whole. And one of the other little practical tips that I was thinking about is that sometimes it's really simple to know where we need to change our physical body. So, for instance, you know, I've got pain in my lower back. I need to change that pain. I want to feel healthier in my lower back. So if you can identify where the pains are or the discomforts or where you aren't feeling at ease in your body, that's a great place to start, where we can support it with our various holistic tools, whether it's our beautiful essential oils or whether it's some other healing modality or a practitioner. But then if you want to take that next step where we look at where does that show up emotionally, or what's the emotional connection to that part of my body that is not flowing at ease, that can be so, so powerful. And, you know, that's where we can help you on that journey, because not everyone understands that. And so again, if you want to know more about that, just connect with us and we will do that. But yeah, the physical, sometimes it's so much easier, and this is where the essential oils are powerful, when we can start working to support that physical need. Then when we're feeling more at ease, we can start to have more ability to heal our heart. And then it just flows up there into the spiritual realm and into, you know, self-actualization, actually being this amazing being we're meant to be.
No, that's good. That's good. No, it is. It's very everything heart-based and heart-connected. It's also connecting to your higher conscious and your higher self. So it's enabling you to be, as you say, all that you are. And it's having the courage and the strength and the love and knowing that it's right.
Yeah, exactly. Kerry's just given us a lovely long message there, and we'll read it fully later, but it's lovely that, that's really resonated. Roman chamomile, fantastic. Another oil to do with heart, change of heart. You know, maybe I just think love is the answer, and the more we can allow ourselves to love ourselves, the more we can love others. And I feel at the moment there is definitely starting to be a shift, but I'm noticing that there is so many people in pain. I feel so many people are in a reactive state. And maybe drop us a note if you've seen this, or you know, share with us where you're seeing this show up. But I'm seeing a lot of disconnectedness because people have had to go to the screens. They're not actually seeing each other face to face, and people are saying things online that they wouldn't normally say, or they're just reacting because they're not realizing that those words don't have the softness of tone or the smile or whatever behind it. And I think that if we can all be conscious of these things, we can create change and bring more love to the world, because that's definitely what we need at the moment. So, you know, we've mentioned rose, which rose, often people just think, oh, it's the lovely oil and it's one for love and heart and harmony, but it is really powerful on a physical level as well. I mean, rose can really help you fight a lot of physical battles. You may notice I don't talk in a lot of detail about physical issues online because it's you know, it's really difficult to be fully compliant, and it is, again, something that I like to take off air. But geranium is another one. So, you know, I think often we aren't expressing love because we're hurting inside, and so geranium just gives us that probably permission to let that grief and loss or whatever it is, pain, to emerge, And when you get it out, obviously there's more space for love and trust to come within. So they're two oils that I'd probably throw in there for needing a change of heart.
Yes.
Have you used those before?
I've got geranium. I haven't got rose. So, no. I actually use, I love the smell of the geranium. I use it. It's like my going out wheel.
Yeah, lovely. I used to do that too, and then I learnt that it was a little bit strong for some of my friends, so I had to turn it down. So who else would like a card? We've got a quieter session. Oh, somebody else has just popped on. Quieter session today, guys, with your chat. We love you to chat. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you want to hear. But while we're waiting for you to do that, I thought I would just throw a couple of other facts at you to help you realise that change is normal. I mean, do you know that we shed skin cells all the time? If we didn't shed our skin cells, we would die, basically. And, there's lots of different sites you can look it up, but I think it's on average we shed our skin cells, or they regenerate about every 27 days. And so if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be alive. So change, as Nicole has said, is absolutely necessary. I think another change is when you watch a tree, like I've got a lot of fruit trees around here, and you watch the fruit start to grow, and fruit is actually protecting the seed inside. So if that fruit does not either fall and rot, the seed doesn't escape to create new life. So, or a bird will eat it and then spread it, and then new plants emerge. So it is such a necessary part of life. And I feel that if we could all embrace that, wow, we'd have a totally different outlook on life.
We would. And also, like you talk about the nature, but looking at animals, I mean, if you just watching them, whether you're at the beach and it's the birds, or you're in for a bushwalk and you're seeing, the mammals or lizards or anything, just taking that time to watch how they're living, it kind of, they impart some of their natural wisdom to us, because by watching them, it draws up that sense. I know when I watch, we've got beautiful ocean eagle hawks here, and watching them soar, it just it lifts me. It's like, oh, yes, that's what I want to do. I just want to be free and just fly and soar and watch everything. So it's taking from the animals their wisdom and what they teach us. It's like, especially with the Aboriginals and the Native American Indians, a lot of their medicine comes from animals as well. And so it's drawing on that, and that as well, once we connect with it, starts that role of change for us, because we're learning and we're accessing information in ourselves that we're either wanting or need a bit of change, or that we need to move forward. So it's a really important thing. You can draw so much from nature on all levels. You've got your plant lives, your animals, you've got the ocean. There's everything in Mother Earth that we can draw from, that can teach us to allow those changes to happen.
Yes, I agree. That I often refer to it as nature's advisory board. It's all around us if we can get out of our own way and take it on. Nikki, hello, Nikki. Hi, Debbie. Yes, we'll definitely grab a card for you. Nikki, I accidentally drank geranium instead of ginger, lol. It was awful. I bet it was. I've got a funny story about that sort of thing in a minute when we do our blend. Nikki's telling us she's late logging on. She's only got a brief time with us. Very grateful. Oh, thank you, Nikki. And Nikki's only a little bit of time. So let's do a card for Nikki, and then I'll come back to you, Debbie. So appreciate those of you who log on in between your meetings and your daily activities. So we love having you here. It's like we're creating our own little new family. It's wonderful. Nikki, this sounds very appropriate for you. Your oil today is the respiratory blend, which we like to call Easy Air. And so on a physical level, it is wonderful for helping to open up our airways and expel that carbon dioxide and give us more room to bring in our life-giving oxygen. But on an emotional level, sometimes we feel a bit constricted, with either grief, where we're a bit feeling really shut down. So I don't know whether this is you at the moment, Nikki. You're saying you've got some difficult meetings coming on, but maybe you're feeling either could be suffocated with stress, it could be suffocated with grief, suffocated with stuff. And so what this is going to do is just help you open up and release that so that you can actually breathe, and go with the flow. So your centering thought is it is safe for me to open up and release all emotions that weigh me down. I am open and free. And your question, Nikki, is why do I feel so healed and free?
Yes, certainly that inability to breathe and to draw, to expand her chest. But there's some overwhelmingness about these meetings, and there's a lot of fear in there because she feels like she doesn't have control. So if she can just understand that the processes are already in play and that she does need to just go with it, she has a voice, she can use it, and it'll always be for her betterment, the process of where this is going, because she's already actively making changes in the way as well.
I can't help thinking, Nicole and I were having a chat earlier, and she told me about a very interesting blend she is wearing today, and I actually feel it is perfect for you. Those of you who know how beautiful doTERRA oils will probably go, what?
I know.
Nicole has put together cilantro and clove. Now, cilantro is the oil of, releasing control. Okay, so it's about any of those issues that are buried deep, just get them up and let them go and shed what is not harmonious to you. And then with clove is very much, it's also about boundaries and just allowing you to let go of any, feeling like, oh, I can't do it, like a bit of victim mentality, and stand firm and strong. And it's also kind of like a little bit of a protective boundary around you as well. So I've been waving them under my nose, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is really interesting. So give that a crack. But you know what? It's so interesting when I love blending now. I just love playing. And those of you who are new to our show, Nicole made the blend last week, which is awesome. We just create a blend for the show and an affirmation, because it's so powerful when you aromatically anchor. And that's when you create some words and thoughts that are meaningful to you to connect that aroma so that you're actually doubling down. What I find really powerful about affirmations is that when you apply your oil and breathe deeply and recite that affirmation out loud, even if you are away from your blend at another time and you actually can recite the affirmation, it's almost like you bring back the same sensation of that aroma, because that's the power of your limbic system and emotions and memory and things like that. So give that a try. Now, Debbie would like a card. Now, Debbie, where are you from, Debbie? I don't think we've met Debbie before, or have we? Not that I remember everybody. It would be impossible, even though I do love to, which is why I continually say connect with us privately, because it's just so much more fun getting to know you. Okay, so the blend we have for you, Debbie, is one we call Console. And maybe right now you're going through some tough times, or recently, I don't know. Maybe you're grieving. Maybe you're feeling, I'm feeling here in my chest, some sadness. Console is like a beautiful, comforting cuddle that'll actually help support you through these times. We've talked a lot about, and when we go to our chest, it's like it's all held in and we need to get it out. So as with any sorrow, particularly, if maybe you're the private person and you feel like you can't express that, it needs to come out, so you can have space for the love and the comfort to come in, and that's what you'll get from Console. So the centering thought is, I accept the painful transitions in life as moments to reflect and learn that pain can be a great teacher. And your question, Debbie, is why do I feel such peace and comfort?
Yes, I'm very proud of you for feeling that in her chest. Look at you go. There is definitely a heaviness there, and it's almost taking her breath away. But I feel she's trying to control a lot at the moment too, and I'd like her to trust her own wisdom and her intuition. So they're actually talking to her. She's just not listening to them because they're not, they don't make logical sense to her. Whereas when she's trying to control things, it feels tangible to her. It's something that she should be doing. So I'd prefer her to trust more herself and what feels right for her, as opposed to that controlling everything. That will ease that heaviness that she's experiencing. And so, look, unfortunately, sometimes you have to fall apart a little bit to rebuild. And by doing that, you kind of shed all those things that are unnecessary. And that's a process. So to do it allows that letting go. And then you can kind of take that breath and move forward and become a little bit more centered in your life and where you need to be, as opposed to where you were or where other people think you should be. So it's really a big trust issue for you, and listening to yourself. It's very important if Debbie can listen to her own wisdom.
Yeah. Debbie's from Melbourne. Debbie, do you already use essential oils? Just drop us a note. But if you'd like more help with how they can support you in this time, I'd love to put my hand up to have a chat with you. I love to take people on an oily journey and be your mentor on the process, because there's so much to learn. You don't need to learn it all at once. And I love to tailor make, because it's so important that it's meaningful to you. So if you're interested, just give me a little message. I was just thinking, when you said that before, you said something that triggered a thought in my head, Nicole, about, and it made me think, like, so often when we're resisting change or feeling that discomfort, it's quite often that we're close to a breakthrough.
Yes.
And I think that if we can understand this, and this, guys, is why we don't just pull cards and do readings. It's about discussion so that we can understand the hows and the whys behind things, because if we don't understand the why and the how, it's very hard to go out and do the do. So if we can understand that, so when we are feeling that resistance, we can go, yay, this is a good thing. This pain is my teacher. This resistance is teaching me something else that I need to shed. And we can go deeper. We can go deeper and work with that. And I think that oregano is a very, very powerful oil. It's a very interesting oil. And oregano actually helps us to break through that strong will. And I know this was my experience when I was first pulled a card for oregano, because it's teaching humility. And I would think, I thought I was fairly humble. But it's also encouraging you to let go of that strong will, and that, to understand that we have to lose attachment to being right. We have to be teachable. We have to be flexible, and that we can allow other viewpoints in, and just sort of, as I mentioned before, sometimes turn the camera inwards and just sort of see, oh, okay, where could I change? So I think oregano is a really powerful oil when it comes to change. Be mindful, it's a really hot oil. So whenever you're using essential oils, and this is something I teach as well when I'm teaching one-on-one, is oil safety. But it's a very hot oil, and so if we're going to be using it physically, we would dilute it with fractionated coconut oil. But I have to tell you, it is amazing to use in the kitchen with your spag bowl. But it's so powerful. I would just dip a toothpick or put a drop on a toothpick and then just wind it into the spag bowl. That's how powerful it is. So with our oils, they're so versatile. I mean, all our oils like basil and oregano and cilantro, just fabulous with food. And did we talk much about cilantro? Oh, we have. But yes. I used to really resist cilantro. And cilantro is about releasing control. So who's the control freak in the room? And it was purely by accident. Now, here's the thing I want to say, is that there's really no coincidence. I can remember going to a friend with my tub of hummus, which I normally would put lemon and black pepper essential oil in there for flavoring. And she said to me, oh, have you got any cilantro? And I went, yeah, let's put cilantro in, she said. And I'm like, oh, it's probably going to be rude if I say no. So I went, okay. And we put it in the hummus, and I've been addicted ever since. I just loved it. And now I love cilantro. So I'm actually accepting that, and that's my process. So it's good to be flexible and not totally say no when these opportunities arrive. Okay. Nikki says the cilantro and clove sounds amazing. Good on you, Nikki. Yeah, thank you, Debbie. Thank you for sharing that. And Colette's just jumped on board. Colette would like a card. I love that name, Colette. Would you like me to draw one, or do you want to?
I know, if you want to go first.
Yep. Remember, guys, if you'd like a card, and please base it on if you've got a question about healing, pop that in first, just to give us a little bit more direction. Colette. Oh, I love this oil. Colette, your oil is sandalwood. How beautiful. How beautiful. Sandalwood is a beautiful, I'm just trying to think how I love it. It just centers me. It's that beautiful aroma. But it's about so many things. We often use it in sacred type of ceremonies, but it's also about helping us just to be centered and to be quiet, to still the mind. So, Colette, I'm not sure what's going on, but maybe just to try and find a little time where you can quiet yourself and listen to your own voice, listen to what you want. Also, I'm suggesting that you might be someone who's fairly independent. You don't have to go it alone. I love bringing up the lessons of the trees, and sandalwood is one that teaches humility and a little bit of vulnerability, in that it requires a host tree for its nourishment. And so that this is probably suggesting that it's okay to actually ask for help. So much more, but let's just keep it simple. I am connected, clear, and conscious. I align with the desires of my Creator. And your question is, why is it so easy for me to feel connected and resilient?
There's some pain that she's experiencing in her neck, just here, and in her left side, and down around her left thigh, and it's all to do with an internal struggle that she's going with, where she again isn't trusting herself. She's listening to a lot of other people, and she's not listening to her own voice and what it is that she actually wants to achieve in her life and in that situation. So I think if she can just balance it up a little bit, where she's trying to,
You're right, nothing happened.
Oh, okay, sorry, I've got a thing just flashed up on the computer. It would just help her get some balance back, and by doing that, it'll take that uncomfortableness out of her left side, and that pain should ease that she gets with that neck. And it's being able to turn that versatility so that she can see all sides as opposed to just one side. It's almost stepping back a little bit and getting some clarity on different ways she can move forward. It's not limited to just one or two. There's various ways there. She's just not seeing the other ways at the moment.
Beautiful. Guys, I've just popped Nicole's contact details up there. I love my essential oils, and I see them as one amazing aspect of my toolkit, my holistic toolkit for life. And I encourage you all to have this kind of a visual of what is your toolkit? What is your toolkit to cope with change? What is your toolkit to help you through life? And hopefully it contains doTERRA essential oils. It's probably got some nutritious food, some exercise, good sleep and rest, but also people like Nicole. And I love to partner with people like Nicole because I believe in her. I have regular mentoring sessions with Nicole myself to help me with my issues. Because we all need to have someone like that we can talk to and help us to adjust and help us to be the best we can be. So I'd encourage you to reach out to Nicole and have a session. And, we can put in the chat later, if you want to put anything in the chat later, Nicole, or maybe you'd like to share how you operate your sessions online.
Well, I can do it either by phone or Zoom. Some people are happy just with your voice. Other people like to see you, and that's all fine. It's just tapping, for me, it's tapping in, and I use my spiritual guides, and we work on a healing sense and more about the now and what changes we need to make. I'm also able to work on the physical, so even though it's distant, I'm able to tap in and work on the physical form and make some changes that are needed to help what it is that you're trying to achieve. I find half an hour on the Zoom or the phone is enough to start off with. But for me, like with Leonie, I love when I first meet people and seeing the changes that happen, and I see that they don't need me as much, which is good. I mean, that's the purpose. It's me activating in them and themselves that ability to learn and teach themselves those lessons, and they don't need necessarily me working with them as much, because they're able to make those changes themselves. They have that confidence, that air of grace and integrity now that they can, and they know boundaries. They know people that you need to like, but you keep at a distance. It's learning all of those things, and that enables you to move forward. And that's the part that I love the most. I recently had a lady that I started seeing at the beginning of this year, and I saw her recently, and she's now doing art, and she's happy, and she's always smiling. She's joyful. The families, because, you know, being a mum, we're the centre of the family. The family's doing great as well. So just by her taking that step and trying to activate a change, it's the ripple effect. It has rippled through her life, but it's rippled through her family's life. And for me, there's no greater joy than that, to see how far someone has come. It's beautiful. I love it.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. So let's do a card for Teresa. Okay, Teresa, I've chosen for you, well, the universe has chosen for you our Ice Blue blend. And this is a really potent blend, often used by sports people. It's actually my go-to blend for my structural issues, and it has beautiful oils in it like wintergreen and helichrysum and peppermint, and you know they're just so good for soothing. But on an emotional level, they're just so powerful as well, because often we see pain again as a negative thing, and believe me, it's not overly pleasant at times, as many of you can attest to. But again, it's how we view things. And I think when we can actually look at pain in the eye, and Teresa, maybe there's some emotional pain going on there, that you just look it in the eye and look it in the eye and thank it for the lessons. Look for the lessons that it's teaching you. I also think that Ice Blue teaches us that to look at our own courage. You have a lot of courage, and that you can get through whatever it is that's going on with you at the moment. So, you know, some resilience. Look at the resilience that you have, and thank that pain, thank that lesson. Your centering thought is, I walk through pain with courage and strength to overcome and learn from it. And your question, Teresa, is, why am I so courageous?
Yes, there's a very heavy on Teresa's shoulders. It's like she's carrying a huge weight or a load. And I'd like her to kind of breathe through it, but to just release some of it, because it's not all hers that she's carrying, and she needs to kind of just brush it off her shoulders. That weight is really grounding her down, and it's making everything really difficult. I imagine she's quite exhausted. So she's not able to move forward and function as she would like in life. So it's all right to help people and to guide them, but you don't need to be carrying their things around with you. And if your own is more than enough at times. So for her just to lighten that load a little bit and put things more into a perspective for what's really worth, what's worth her time, and what's to just give the advice and to almost leave it at that.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful. Do you know, I was just having a thought too. That we're coming up to Christmas, and if you are stuck for what to give someone for Christmas, Nicole and I can both look after you with gift vouchers or help with tailor making packages, etc. So, as I said, I've got Nicole's details up there for you. Yeah, Teresa's saying the exhaustion has been debilitating. Yeah. And Colette, thank you for your message there too. I thought I might, just as the time ticking by, and we haven't talked about my blend for today. Okay, so the blend for Sense of Change was actually quite funny because I was just kind of, as I do, sometimes I'll think about the emotional aspects that I want to put in a blend and I'll choose the oils based on that. And other times I'll just be intuitive, I'll just grab them. Well, I was actually thinking about, it was kind of a blend of both. Anyway, I went to grab tangerine because tangerine is in this blend. And one of the reasons I love tangerine is because we want a change of mood. We want to uplift the mood. And I kind of feel that we need to do that right now because we've been talking about a lot of pain and heaviness, etc. So, guys, this is when, if you've got them, grab your citrus oils out and let's get a bit of zest into our life. So, citrus are really good for uplifting, but I particularly went with tangerine this week because tangerine is like, all about being cheerful and spontaneous and allowing that creative spark to come out, because I think sometimes we get weighed down and I have been feeling this weight of the world on everyone and they're closed down, and that creativity I think has been stifled. So I want to bring in the tangerine for that. And what was really funny was I used we have a beautiful hydrating cream in our skincare products that have essential oils in them, and I don't throw anything out. So these are my little blending pots. And so I'm pulling the oils. My oils are all in alphabetical order, right? So I'm putting them in. And when I went to smell, I thought, that is really different. That's not, I imagined there would be more citrusy aroma to it. And I realized instead of tangerine, I've grabbed turmeric. Now, turmeric is so powerful. Many of you will may be taking the turmeric powders for the anti-inflammatory effects, etc. Well, we have turmeric oil. Anyway, and I thought, I've got to change this. And then I thought, no, because there's no such thing as a coincidence. I looked up turmeric because I haven't really used it that much. And it's quite interesting, because it's about restoration. Turmeric is about offering strength and hope during upheaval, and it grounds us during change. I can't argue with that. So my blend has tangerine, which is going to be helping us to follow through on our dreams and feel more cheerful. It's going to have turmeric for the reasons I just shared. It's also going to have cypress, which is the oil of flow, of motion. So I want us to and I think, Nicole, you've said that we have to flow through change. It's also got frankincense, because frankincense brings us back to our own truth. It helps us to just, become more aware of our own light and to see that light, so create that change to see our own inner light. And then we've got my final one is our Forgive blend, which is the renewing blend. And it's part of our emotional aromatherapy kit. But, this is really good because it's called Forgive. And I know for me, many years ago, I had to change my perspective on what forgiveness was. Because if you were angry with someone who had hurt if I was angry with someone who'd hurt me, I'd be thinking, well, if I'm forgiving them, they're kind of getting away scot-free. That was my, immature thought process. Whereas now I realize that forgiveness is for me. I forgive so I can let go of that load of anger or bitterness or whatever it is. And so I thought, putting all those together, we've got the flow, we've got truth, we've got the desire to follow the calling, we've got the forgiveness, which is really freedom. And so that became a very interesting blend. And here's the other thought that I had. As I was inhaling this, I liked it, but I was thinking, I don't know if a lot of people would, be like, oh, wow, this is amazing. So if you are called to use oils and your nose is crinkling and you're not so sure, put them on your feet.
Yes.
But get them further away from your nose, but use the oils. And so with that, I wrote out a little affirmation. I embrace the changes that facilitate my growth by shedding all that doesn't serve me, leaving space for all that does. All with ease and grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because change can flow. Change can come about with ease when we change from the inside out. We have to change our thoughts. And coming back to Louise's saying, thoughts and words create our experiences.
Oh, they do.
So that's my band. What do you think of that one, Nicole?
I think that sounds really interesting. I wish I had all of them here so I could have a whiff.
Yeah, we'll have to organise that. I mean, it's great you're on our monthly loyalty program, so you can get the oil at a better price. So there's all these goodies we can offer you guys if you're not already using the doTERRA essential oils. Colette says that sounds like a great blend oil to unblock. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with it. What I also like to do with blends is I like to inhale them, put them on my hands, inhale them. I put them on my wrist and then I leave them for a while and I just smell. And again, this is about coming into your senses, activating your senses and smelling. And then how do I feel about that? Where are the sensations? You know, what are the thoughts? And being aware of different thoughts. And blank pen and paper is just the gateway to heaven as far as I'm concerned, because if you jot down what thoughts are coming up when you're smelling that, you can actually then explore those thoughts and start to make sense of them, because sometimes we have these patterns of words or thoughts or beliefs that if we don't question them, we can't change them. So use the oil, activate your senses, write it down, and then explore further. And that's a journey I love to take you on. So my offering for you is, join me on a 3-month oily journey. That's what I love to take people on, because it's a mentorship. And as Nicole said, we kind of like to create redundancy within ourselves. We love to empower you and teach you so that we become redundant. We're always there for you to tap into. We're always going to be your support network. But you become this empowered being, listening to your own voice, recognizing your own talents and your own abilities, and building your own toolkit.
And enables you to teach other people too, you know, in family and friends and your own children, so that they don't have those same issues come up later in life, because they've already activated their empowerment, their higher self. But with your oils, Leonie, the one thing too, a good place to put them is on the crown. So it's activating your subconscious, and also behind your ears. That's where I always put mine, up my neck, behind my ears, and on the top of my head. I just little pat, and it just opens everything up a little bit more. It's just activating other senses than your smell. It's stimulating.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm not being rude. I'm looking at the time so we don't go over. But you know what you just said. It's quite interesting. We place ourselves in boxes. And I was talking to my daughter yesterday and having a little discussion. And she's 28, and she said, "You know, Mum," she said, "I've always kind of looked at people in high positions or whatever as like, you know, they're the adults. As a child, it was like, well, I'm the child, they're the adult, or I'm the emerging adult, they're the adult. They know, I don't." And she was always not aware of her own knowledge and importance. And she's starting to realize that, you know, she's a really intelligent human being. She knows a lot. And just because somebody has a label or a title doesn't actually mean they do. And she's seeing a lot of discrepancy there. And so she's starting to come into her own and realize her own power. And I think this is what we often do. So for me, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm in awe of people like Nicole. And I have so many amazing friends who have these types of talents that are tapping into their guides. And I haven't thought less of myself that I don't, but I haven't really explored or believed in my own ability. And I think we all do that. We go, oh, that's what they do. I can't do that. Now, just because we don't want to do what Nicole does doesn't mean we can't listen to our own voice and apply that wisdom that is almost yelling at us half the time to ourselves. Yeah, and sometimes it's yelling in the form of pain. Sometimes it's yelling in the form of, oh my God, I can't breathe. And these are the signals we need to listen to.
Because when you're not listening to yourself, you have to understand that it then goes back to the physical body, and that's where you'll get the pain. It's like it takes it to that next level, so you can't ignore it. And if you do ignore it, it goes to something else, and it becomes more painful, and it just keeps flowing until you kind of go, oh, rightio, I need to stop. I need to start listening.
Absolutely. And Tracy, hello, Tracy. Tracy said, learn, then educate, and share your knowledge. And that is so true. And, you know, I don't get too caught up in all the big things on the world. I'm aware, but I just want to be the best person I can be and be an influence in my circle, and then help to create that ripple effect so other people can then go on and create that ripple effect. And then we've covered the world. And that's for me. I want to oil up the world. I want everyone to experience the beauty of these doTERRA essential oils, because I've just changed my life and so many people I've managed to touch lives. So I can't do that on my own, but together we can. And I know there's some people on here already doing that. And if there's any of you that would like to be part of that ripple effect, connect with Nicole or I, and we'll take you on that journey with us. Nicole, it's been an absolute blast having you. Love your wisdom.
Oh, I love listening to your knowledge of the oils. It's amazing.
Good. Well, it didn't happen overnight. I've had some wonderful mentors. I'm a great researcher, reader. I mean, it's just what we decide. It all starts with that decision, and it goes from there. So we'll come back again next week, won't we, Nicole?
We will, yes.
Do you have any parting words of wisdom you'd like to leave our friends today?
The biggest thing is to trust yourself. Listen to your own voice. You can take note of what others say, but your voice is what really matters to you.
Yeah, beautiful. I just want to read one little thing. I found this. My mother was a great one for sharing wisdom, and she used to have a radio show on Radio Rima, a Christian radio station. And so she had all these wonderful sayings. Changes. When upheavals shake your world and bring a sudden change, do not be afraid of what is new to you and strange. Adapt the role that life assigns you. Play a different part. Someday you'll be glad that you were jolted from your groove out into an unknown future. Be prepared to move. Looking forward, pushing onward, boldly, hopefully. Changes often force the door of opportunity. And that's Patient Strong. Thanks, guys. Look forward to having you again next week. Thanks, Nicole. Bye, everybody. Have an awesome week.
Bye.